Where's Bodine? I didn't stay there, I just wondered where. No. I am the only thing standing between you and a diploma. But a big thank you to President Barnes, distinguished faculty and staff, friends, family, and this graduating class of 2013. It's an honor to be here, and I can still remember being back in these seats 18 years ago as the first graduating class from this great hall. Actually, I was sweating. I was in a hurry. I was late. I just made it in the door. I was supposed to be the student speaker. I rushed and rushed. I drove to Sem Hill and back. I could not find parking. You still have that problem today? I couldn't find parking, so I drove around. They just built this place, and I knew there were 3 guest spots of the president. I drove around behind the Great Hall, and wouldn't you know it, one was still open. Today, I was invited to park in that same spot legally. Being back at Bethel, I've noticed some things stay the same. Still a beautiful campus, still amazing faculty and staff, still a heart for God. And no campus, no higher learning institution is as proficient with acronyms. It starts freshman year when you take CWC, ILA, or ICA. You eat in the DC, exercise in the SRC, go to the game in the RC, and go to chapel in the CLC after walking through the BC, the HC, the AC, and that other C. Then some of you, you know who you are, you go ASAP over to Sem Hill and have a DTR. Our football coach said, forget it, I'm just going to go by Coach J. But today, some of you will graduate with a BA, a BS, or some other fine degree from this great place we call BU. I'm grateful, genuinely grateful for my experience here. I had no idea at the time how valuable it would be, how valuable the friendships, relationships, academically, spiritually, relationally. My best friends for life came out of this place, not just my wonderful wife, but the 3 guys I met with every Thursday night at Fountain Terrace, junior year, for prayer and accountability and Bible study. We still meet 20 years later, consistently. And because of that, marriages are better, ministries are better, and businesses are better. I never would have guessed that my graduate research would lead to this best-selling book, this research that I'm so passionate about and really has opened doors to speak and consult around the world. But many of the people that helped make that happen are right here at Bethel. That before it went to Simon & Schuster, the editor was here, the designer was here. Many people came around me, friends, and our first book launch party was here. I look back at Naomi over here, and I thought, my creative writing teacher, freshman year, I wasn't a good writer then. But I just thought of this as we were walking in. And one thing that she did was I liked to get good grades. But I, unlike some of you that are brilliant as infants, had to work at it. And one thing she let us do is get whatever grade we wanted. It's just you had to rewrite it as many times as you wanted. And I rewrote, and I rewrote, and I rewrote, until, in that case, I actually did end up getting an A. But this research led to a couple passionate beliefs, 2 sides of the research. Number 1, I came to believe that the single uniqueness of the greatest leaders and organizations of all time is trust. And in life, a lack of trust is your biggest expense. When I get home from a business trip or speaking or something like that, I'm greeted at the door by my 4 kids. I'm grateful for that. But I've got one young one still, 4 years old. He runs up to me the same way almost every time. Sticky fingers, pulls on my suit pant leg. Daddy, throw me up in the air really high. You probably were one like that, weren't they? Daddy, throw me up in the air really high. So I do. Most of the time I catch him. Now he trusts his dad to catch him every time. One breach of trust and what would happen? He'd never ask again. If you think trust is just a soft skill, doesn't impact the bottom line or impact anything else, ask Lance Armstrong or Tiger Woods. Think of Tiger. 27 breaches of trust. far as we know. And he lost millions in weeks, hundreds of millions by now. Your credit score is just a trust score. The more you're trusted by the lender, the less you pay over the course of the loan. Penn State's projected to lose $1 billion over the next decade because of a breach of trust. I showed my kids my P.O. box. It's still in the same spot. It's the same silver P.O. box. It still says 681 on it. But 20 years later, 22 years later from my freshman year, it's different. What's on it today? What do you have today on your P.O. boxes? A lock! Because at some point, some freshmen put something stupid in some sophomore's P.O. box. Now they all have locks. Because there was a breach of trust, and there's a cost. A cost, a few bucks. What's the real cost? Time. From the research, we found that every time trust goes up just a little bit, costs go down, attrition goes down, time to market goes down, productivity goes up, retention goes up, loyalty goes up, innovation goes up, creativity goes up every single time. Think about it. For the trusted brand, you'll pay way more. You'll come back. You'll tell others. The trusted leader gets followed. The trusted salesperson gets bought from. The trusted teacher or parent or manager gets respected. First part of the research was the lack of trust is your biggest expense. Now, God has a lot to say about trust, doesn't he? It starts with trusting him. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, not on your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him. David in the Psalms, I don't trust in my bow, I don't trust in chariots, I don't trust in horses, I trust in the name of the Lord my God. It starts with trusting him as a believer. But Proverbs 12:22, the Lord hates, detests lying lips, but delights in the trustworthy. How do we, men and women, be trustworthy? The second part of the research, we wanted to see what does make someone trustworthy. What gives someone this great, what we believe, this great advantage of being trusted by being trustworthy. These 8 uniquenesses came to the top, and I call them pillars today in the book because I think they hold up this great advantage of we come to call the trust edge. Let me just share maybe 3 of them very briefly with you from the research. Number 1 was consistency. We trust sameness. This is why we trust McDonald's, isn't it? We don't even like McDonald's maybe, but we trust them. Because they give us the same. I've had the exact same burger in Frankfurt, Tokyo, and Cleveland. It might be made of something different, I have no idea. But it tastes the same, looks the same, smells the same, pickles off centered everywhere I go, isn't it? It's the same. We trust sameness. We want to know you're going to be the same every time. When I was here at Bethel, one of those consistent, trusted people was a janitor named Mr. Teacox, Keith. He was the same every day. Smile every day. Positive attitude every day. Every day in his decades of service at Bethel, he gave 1 hour as a tithe, free. We want to see sameness. We want to see that you're going to do it when I'm in the room or out of the room. You're going to do it when I'm watching or not watching. You're going to live for the King of Kings in spite of the world and circumstances and life. Every area of life is the little things done consistently that make the big difference, isn't it? If I'm overweight, it's because I've had too many mocha lattes over years, right? Not because I had too much to eat this morning at breakfast. If I'm a good husband, it's because I've loved and honored and cared for my wife over years, not because I gave her a diamond ring and a dozen roses on her anniversary. Not that that wouldn't help. If I'm a good leader or really good at much of anything, it's because I'm doing the little things consistently. The first one is consistency for today. The second pillar for today, competency. People trust those that stay fresh, relevant, and capable. You might have great character. That's one of the pillars. I might trust Pastor Laurel to take my kids to the ball game because of her character. I might not trust her to give me a root canal because of her competency at that. We have to stay fresh, relevant, and capable. It's interesting, this competency pillar starts with humility. And academia can breed the opposite, can't it? It can breed arrogance. How many of you know, we don't trust the arrogant, but how many of you know a know-it-all? How many sitting next to one right now? Yeah, you both raise your hand, you might have a problem. We don't trust. When I taught on leadership at one of our country's finest military academies, I think I was talking to some of the best, brightest, and bravest young men and women in our country, much like here. The biggest problem for a few of them, they thought they were. And that squelched their leadership, trust, and impact. Competency starts with humility. The third and final pillar for the day, commitment. I've had companies say to me, oh, just come teach my team about commitment. Just tell them to be committed to me. You don't get commitment without giving it, do you? In this culture, this new generation, it's not known for commitment. More than ever before, you'll switch jobs, you'll switch friendships, you'll switch homes, you'll switch spouses. Be committed to something great. And keep being committed to trusting God. On a personal level, it might start at New Year's resolutions, right? 8% of the people that make them don't keep them, right? It's amazing. I'm asked often, how do you rebuild trust once you've broken it? Let me tell you this one way. Only one way. I can give you the whole chapter on the book. Make and keep a commitment. It's the only way. It's not the apology. I asked a CEO from the Netherlands, what do you see as the difference here? You've been in America a couple months. You know, he said the first thing he noticed? Yeah, in America, you got a bunch of lying apologizers. They're all sorry and they don't mean it. I'm sorry I'm late. No, you're not. You're late every time. Quit telling me you're sorry and mean what you say. Kind of on a whim, a year and a half or so ago, I said to my staff, I stood in front of my staff at a staff meeting and I said, if I'm not at my high school weight by May 1st, I'll give you $2,500. My wife was not excited about this because I had to lose about 50 pounds. What would have happened if I would have got on the scale May 1st and wouldn't have been 190 pounds or less? Is the money the biggest problem? Not even close. Is the weight the biggest problem? The biggest problem? I would have lost my team that day because I made a commitment and didn't keep it. What's worse, I would have lost trust in myself. You know the verse, love your neighbors yourself, which precludes if you don't love yourself at all, you have a hard time loving others. It's the same with trust. If you don't trust yourself at all, you have a hard time building trust in your teams and in others. Only make commitments you'll keep. In Verndale, Minnesota. Have any of you heard of this town, Verndale? Yes, I'm in Minnesota today. There's only 500 people that live there and a bunch of cattle. It's 3 hours north of here on Highway 10. On Highway 10 in Verndale, and by the way, our family farm, where my dad still runs 1,500 acres, 83 years old, it's 8 miles north of Verndale, the middle of nowhere. But in Verndale, on Highway 10, once a year at that big coliseum, the first weekend in February, they have a rodeo. Yeah. Cowboy. Now, people come from far and wide because there's nothing else to do in the first weekend in February. Verndale. But 2,000 people come from counties around to this rodeo for 3 nights in a row. My mom and dad called, oh, you gotta bring the grandkids up. They've never seen the rodeo, you gotta bring the grandkids up. Year and a half ago, or whatever it was, a year ago, we went up to the rodeo. I took my kids, my wife, we drove up, I was out the road, we met there at the rodeo, Dad had tickets, we went in, we wore our cowboy hats, our cowboy boots, we were all excited. First half of the rodeo, the cowboys and cowboys, they're pros, they come in from all over the world, Canada and Texas, and like I said, all over the world. The first half of the rodeo, they rope things, and they ride around things. The second half of the rodeo, they ride on things, and they get bucked off of things. But in the middle of the rodeo, it's your opportunity to have the locals get involved. That's where little kids can see how long they'll last riding a sheep. We call this mutton busting. They draw 8 or 9, 10 names out of the hat. You had to be age 6 to 10 years old, 6 to 9 years old. Before the last event, before halftime, they started drawing the names out. The announcer, these kids, this kid, that kid, both of my kids, aged 6 and 8, were drawn out of the hat. They looked up at me in terror. I looked at my dad, he just smiled. I got down by them, I said, this is gonna be fun. I took them down by the announcer, all the way around the arena, by the American flag. I told them about what was gonna happen. And you know what happens to every kid every night? Have you ever seen this? What happens to every kid every night? They fall. Every kid every night, they last 2 feet. Boom, 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 boom. I'm like, why do you even do this? Oh, the Cowboys need a break, Cowboys need a break. My daughter was one of the last to go. I got down by my daughter. I said, honey, you can't do it like that. You'll fall off. You gotta wrap those dangly 8-year-old legs around the belly. You gotta pinch as hard as you can. Vanessa, you can't sit up like this and hold on to the wool. You gotta lay down with your tummy on the sheep. You gotta wrap your arms around the neck, and you gotta dig your fingers into the wool. I'm a great dad. Vanessa, whatever you do, don't let go. They opened that bull gate, that sheep tore out of there, but she held on. All the way across the arena, it's on the far side of the arena. You know what that sheep does? It goes over to the other sheep, because they all gather together and they laugh at all the other kids. That's what sheep do. Runs over to the other sheep, it butts that sheep, first one it sees, right in the side. She goes, ah, but she holds on. That sheep doesn't know what to do, so it takes off around the arena. It's a little sideways now. Second time around the arena. 2,000 people in Verndale, Minnesota. Can't believe it. They stand up, they start cheering for this little girl. Look, can you believe them? Look at her. My stoic Norwegian dad has a tear running down his cheek. Third time around the arena, the clowns come out. Little girl, you can let go now. You can let go. She will not let go. Finally, they get her stopped over in the corner, but she won't get off. The announcer up on the American flag, is there a dad here? I walk down in front of everybody and run over, pick my daughter off the sheep. She's breathing 1,000 miles a minute. She grabs onto my neck. 2,000 people in Verndale, Minnesota are still cheering and screaming for this little girl. I'll never forget what she said in my ear amidst the screaming and cheers. Why did the clowns say to let go? You said never let go! Men and women graduating class, I hope you won't just be committed to things that are kind of good. I hope you won't just be committed. I hope you won't even be committed to going and help set up an orphanage in Nepal just to get the Nobel Peace Prize or write a bestseller. I hope you'll be committed to trusting God and be committed to holding on to Him and being a trustworthy servant every day. When you do, I think you enjoy one of the greatest advantages of all time. This advantage of being trusted for Him. Congratulations.